Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. We will pick up today in our time of study in the book of Genesis. We continue our verse by verse study of the book of Genesis. Today we find ourselves in Genesis chapter 35, and we will pick up from verse 19. Verse 35, yes, verse 20. Pick up from verse 20. 21, somewhere around here. All right, we bow heads in prayer. Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here as we congregate another time in the sanctuary of the Lord. We pray that your presence will be with us as we come together to open up your words and to study your words in the presence of your people. Let your spirit be poured out upon us. Bless us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding even as we study your words today. Bless those who are on here where we ask these favors in Jesus' precious, wonderful name. All right, so we are picking up again in the book of Genesis, and we are in chapter 35. I think we just start from verse 21. And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond the tower of Eder. So here we see that Jacob, his name is changed to Israel, and he continued to journey. Remember that he came back from Padan Aram, and it's probably maybe close to 15 years since he is back in Canaan, and he did not go back where his father Isaac was living. Isaac was living in memory, but he didn't go back there to stay. And he's back in the land for about 15 years. And he continued to move from place to place. And some interpreters are saying the reason why he didn't go back to see his father Isaac, because he was so ashamed of the way he conducted himself. Remember when he left to go to Padan Aram before he actually went to Padan Aram, his brother Esau wanted to kill him because he stole his birthright. And he stole the inheritance from him. And Jacob lied to his father. He connived with his mother against, his father and his brother Esau, so they can get the birthright from Esau. So I guess because of the way he conducted himself, he wasn't in a hurry to go back and see his father, who was not living too far away from where he was. Isaac probably was staying maybe about 46 miles away from where Jacob was setting up these camps. So he continued to make these camps, and he spread his tent towards Eder. Eder is a watchtower, is a place where people used to watch to see when the enemy was coming in. And it was 22. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. So I think that's where we left off last week, where Reuben, he went and he lied with his father's concubine, Bilhah. And as we said last week, Bilhah is the maid that was given to Rachel. When Rachel got married to Jacob, Rachel's father Laban gave her Bilhah to be her maid. And now we see that Rachel died. A few verses above we saw where Rachel died and she was buried under the oak tree. And here we see we're having this bad incident that is taking place here, where Reuben, who is the eldest son of Jacob with Leah, he went and lied with Bilhah, which is the maid of Rachel. And as I was explaining last week, what some interpreters are saying is that Reuben, he was trying to secure his mother's position. His mother was Leah, and Rachel, who was the favorite wife of Jacob, she just died. And they're saying that Reuben is thinking that Bilhah might replace his mother, Leah. So what he did, he defiled her. And it is believed that this incident that took place here, it wasn't, in a way in which Bilhah enticed Reuben to go with her, because Bilhah was an older woman at that time. And Reuben was a young man. He probably was in his late 20s, somewhere around there. And what is believed happened here is that Bilhah was drunk. She probably had too much wine to drink, and when Reuben, he knew that she was drunken, he took that opportunity and he defiled her. And this defilement only take place one time. It wasn't a continuous thing. It was something that kept happening. And because of what he did here, he suffered great consequence. And the text did not really tell us exactly what happened right here. But if you go over in chapter 49, you go over to Genesis chapter 49, it will give us some information there. Because according to what we have seen here, the text tells us that Jacob did not say anything. And what the text said in chapter 49, and Jacob called to his sons and said, gather yourself together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. So Jacob is ready to die. And he called all of his sons together and he's going to prophesy over them. Gather yourself together and hear ye sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, ye are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, you shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then defiled you it. He went up to my couch. And what he's saying is that Jacob, he pointed at Reuben and he told him exactly what he did. And because of this, Jacob more or less like he put a curse on Reuben. And if you go over to the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 5, 1 Chronicles chapter 5, it will also give us another reference here to this same situation. 1 Chronicles chapter 5. And it tells us, now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn, but for as much as he defiled his father's bed, speaking about the same situation that we are dealing with in Genesis chapter 35 here, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel, and the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. So even though, it seems like Jacob did not say anything to Reuben when this incident took place, Reuben paid a steep consequence for his action. He was the oldest son of Jacob, and he was entitled to get a double portion. But because of his action, because of what he did, his birthright was taken away. The privilege to be the head of the family was taken away from him, and it was given to the two sons of Joseph. Joseph had two sons, and those sons was Manasseh and Ephraim, and Reuben's position was taken away from him. His birthright was taken away from him, and because of what he did, because of this deed that he committed, this wickedness that he committed by lying with his father's concubine, his birthright was taken away from him and given to the two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. So we continue. It tells us in verse, let me just read over verse 22 again. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in that land that Reuben went and lied with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Israel heard it. What interpreters are saying that there's a break here in the verse, and they're saying that it's maybe two verses that they put together here, because it said Israel heard it, and there's a break right there. And now the sons of Jacob were 12. So Israel heard about it and he did not say anything. And those verses that I read over in chapter 49 of Genesis and 1 Chronicles give us the explanation, give us the step that Israel took against Reuben when he did that wicked deed. His birthright was taken away from him and given to the two sons of Joseph. And it tells us, now the sons of Jacob were 12. So from here on, we are going to see that Jacob, or Israel, he's going to be out of the picture. He's not going to be in the spotlight. His 12 sons, they will be taking over. They will be taking over all of the operation, in regards to the nation of Israel. Jacob will be taking a back seat from here on. And his 12 sons will be the people that God is going to use. Now it tells us the sons of Leah, Reuben, that's the same guy that just committed that wicked act. Jacob firstborn, and Simeon and Levi, and Judah and Issachar and Zebulun. So here we see they are given the birth of these sons of Jacob, and they are using their mother. They're doing it by using the wives or different mother of these boys. They're lining them up, maybe according to their seniority. And it tells us that Leah, she is the mother of Reuben, and he was the firstborn, and Simeon and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. So here we are seeing that the text is telling us here about Leah. Leah was the one that was not loved in the sense that Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah, and she wasn't the beloved wife of Jacob. But when you look at what is happening here is that she played a major role in the life of Jacob. And most interpreters that I'm reading, they believe that even though she wasn't Jacob's beloved wife, she was the one that was more or less chosen to be his wife. That was the one that God probably wanted to be Jacob's number one wife. And we are seeing here that, she gave Jacob 6 sons. 6 of Jacob's sons came from Leah. And if you notice there, it tells you that one of her sons was Levi. From that line, or from that tribe, we have what? Who came from that line? Who came from the line of Levi? The priests, the priesthood. The priesthood in Israel came from the line of Levi. And also we have another of her son that is there, which is Judea. Judea, where the line of the kings came from. We have David, he was from the line of Judea. So that's a very important son that Leah gave to Jacob. Levi and Judah, those were 2 important tribe in the nation of Israel. And we have Issachar and Zebulun. He said that the sons of Rachel, this is the one that Jacob was madly in love with, Joseph and Benjamin. Rachel, she just passed away. She passed away when she was having Benjamin. That was her last son. And it tells us in verse 25, and the sons of Bilhah, this is the one, this is the handmaid of Rachel that was just violated by Reuben. Rachel handmaid, she had 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid. So this is Leah's handmaid now. Gad and Asher, these are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Padan Aram. So here we are seeing that Benjamin, he was already born. Benjamin, the last son of Jacob that he had with Rachel, he was born during their journey from Padan Aram to the land of Canaan. But still, Moses is saying that all of Jacob's sons were born in Padan Aram. Because of the fact that Jacob didn't go back to where his father was living, even though Reuben was born in Canaan, because I believe that they already crossed over the border, because when they crossed the river, remember when Jacob was wrestling with the angel of God? Reuben, he was not born as yet, and Jacob, when he crossed over the river, he was crossing over from Padan Aram into Canaan. And because of the fact that he lingered for so many years, it's probably maybe about 15 years now that he's in the land, and he's not going back to the original spot where he left from. Moses is telling us here that all of his sons were born in Padan Aram. And he tells us in verse 27, and Jacob came to Isaac his father, to Mamre, to the city of Abad, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac dwell. So after about 15 years, Jacob finally decided to go and visit his father. And some theologians are saying that they believe that Jacob made different trips to see his father while he was back in Canaan, and it is not reported. Maybe Moses chose not to record these trips that he took to see Isaac, because where Jacob had his tent, he was about maybe 46 miles away from where Isaac was staying. And there is no record of him in Scripture, since he returned back to Canaan, that he ever go and see his father. And I want to believe that he didn't go back. This is the first time I believe that he's going to see his father. And I believe that the reason why he was hesitant and he was reluctant to go and see his father is because of, what happened before he went to Padan Aram, the way how he tricked his father. You remember he stole his brother's birthright, and he went in disguise when Isaac was old and his eyesight was dim, and he was on his bed thinking that he was going to die. And he asked, he thought he was talking to his son Esau. He told him to go out and get his favorite meal. He loved wild meat, wild game. And Jacob, came in because his mother already set him up and tell him how to act, to go out and get the animal skin and put on his hands, put on his neck, and he disguised himself as his brother Esau, because Esau was that hairy man. And when he came in, his father, he knew that something was wrong. He dressed himself up in Esau's garment and all of that. And his father keep, asking him, are you my son Esau? And Jacob keeps saying, yes, I am Esau. And what he did, he tricked his father. And because of this, he had us to run away from Canaan, because Esau, when he came back with the animal and he dressed it and made venison, brought it into his father, and the father, told him that the blessing was already given to Jacob, because Jacob came in before him. So I believe that the reason why Jacob didn't want to go back to see his father, he was not in a hurry to go back to see his father. He was ashamed. He was ashamed of the way that he conducted himself, the way how he behaved, the way how he robbed his brother, he stole his brother's birthright. He couldn't face his father. So he just lingered, and he finally decided to go back here in verse 27. And the scripture tells us, and Jacob came to Isaac his father to Mamre, to the city of Abad, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac dwell. So that's the place that Abraham and Isaac was staying. And in verse 28, and the days of Isaac were 104 score years. So here we see that Isaac lived to 180 years. And as Jacob came back, the way how the writer here of the book of Genesis is explaining it to us as if, Jacob came back in the nick of time. to see his father's, one last time, and then his father passed away. But that's not really what he's saying here. He's reporting the death of Isaac, because when Jacob went to see Isaac, it is believed that Isaac probably lived about 12 years. He probably lived about 12 years before he died, because theologians believe that Isaac was alive when his grandson, Joseph, was taken into Egypt, and it is believed that he was alive, all of those times. So it is not how we are reading it here. He lived probably about 12 years after Jacob went to see him. But Jacob took a long time before he went back to see his father. And it tells us in verse 29, and Isaac gave up the ghost. You remember way back, I think this is about 37 years before, Isaac was on his bed. As I just explained, he called for his favorite son, Esau, and he said that he was ready to die. He was more or less bedridden, and he was on his bed and he was ready to die. And here we see that about 37 years passed, and he's still on his bed. And a lot of questions is being asked in regards to Isaac. What really happened to him? Isaac lived longer than all of the patriarchs. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph. He lived longer than all of them. But he accomplished less than all of them. He accomplished less. He didn't do a whole lot. And we have to ask the question, what was the problem with Isaac? What happened to him? What caused him to become so, inactive? Didn't do a whole lot. Didn't accomplish a whole lot. Even though he lived longer than all of these men, he did so little. And a lot of interpreters are asking the question, what is the reason? And when we go back, when Abraham took him, when the Lord told Abraham to go up to Mount Moriah and offer Isaac as a sacrifice, some people is maybe thinking that what happened on Mount Moriah, it probably have a devastating effect on the life of Isaac. Because when Abraham was told to go up and sacrifice his son, it was at the last minute that the Most High God intervened and saved Isaac from being sacrificed. So there's a possibility that probably have something to do with the way how Isaac probably conduct the rest of his life. Some interpreters lenient to believe that because of the fact that he didn't do a whole lot. And so it tells us that in verse 29, and Isaac gave up the ghost. So he was on his bed. He probably was bedridden for maybe 37 years on his bed. And he died and was gathered on to his people, being old and full of days, and his son Esau and Jacob buried him. So here we see that he was on his bed for that long period of time. And I was talking with Sister Sherry while we was driving in, and I was saying to her that in Bible time, or Hebrew Israelite people, they didn't know anything about putting their older folks in nursing home. Nursing home is a new thing. And nursing home came about when the European came in. We didn't know anything about putting our old folks in nursing home. And even if you go back now in most of the Caribbean islands, you'll see they still have, that policy where they have their older folks still living at home. And they have people taking care of them. I know that a few of these places have nursing home. They have nursing home in Grenada. I don't know, about St. Vincent or whatever going on over there. It's a long time since I don't really travel there. But, they have nursing home in some of these places. But still, most of these places, the children of these parents, they're looking after their old folks at home. And, that is the way it's supposed to be. Amen. So a lot of these things that we have today in our society, they're really new. It's not things that used to happen before. You know, as I was saying to Sister Sherry, like, you know, having man and woman shacking up. You know, you're shacking up with somebody and living with a woman. That wasn't something that we're accustomed with. All of these things came in when the Europeans came in. Because, you know, Hebrew Israelite people, when you have a daughter, a father have a daughter, and a man is in love with that daughter, he have to go and talk to the father directly before he can have any authority to court that woman. And, you know, one of the first questions that father is going to ask that man is, what is your intention? Anybody down there, your father asks the guy that came home for you, what is your intention? You ever have any experience with that? Yes?
My father-in-law, when I first started...
Take the mic.
When I first started dating Arian, my
yes.
father-in-law, before, you know, we did anything and all that stuff.
Did anything like what?
Well, like going out.
Okay, all right.
Before we go out,
right.
Set up a meeting with me.
Okay.
And, you know, we discussed the things, you know, like what are my intentions and all that stuff, what are my plans.
Okay.
And that kind of stuff. So, he just wanted to know from me what my plans were and all that stuff. So, you know.
Well, what you should have done. Okay, what you should have done, you should have called me so I could go along with you. That is how they used to do it. But you do it all by yourself. And you know, he was supposed to take one step further. He was supposed to get a tree stump. Did he did he give you a tree stump to bust open with an axe? Or did he get a tree root? You know, a tree that was cut down for a long time and you have to dig it out to prove that you was a man, prove that you was a hard worker. Did he test your hand? Did you show him the palm of your hand and how hard working you were? All of these things is what people used to do back in that time. You know, yes.
That's not them, but now it's money.
No, they want to money. But back in the old days, you know, you go home to a family to take a man to take his daughter, you know, as your wife. You have to show proof that you're a hard-working man. And yes, you can take care of that girl. And you have to be somebody that comes from a good family. You know, you have to be somebody that they recognize, and this person is a good family and stuff like that. Otherwise, you know, you won't be able to take out the man's daughter. And it tells us in verse 29, and Isaac gave up the ghost and died and was gathered unto his people. So the question here is, when it said he was gathered unto his people, what is the text really talking about? Gathered unto his people. This was used in regards to Abraham. It was used in regards to Ishmael and all of these people that we had before that passed on. They were all gathered on to their people. Anybody have any idea what is that saying? What is the understanding there?
Could it be the family burial plot?
Family burial plot. Well, some people are lenient towards that, the family burial plot, but it could be the place of rest, the place in heaven. The place where they go to be with their God, they go to be with their Maker. And it could be, it's referring to the place, it's their spiritual home that they go on, you know, to inherit. And when we came across that the last time, we saw where Ishmael went to that same place. It is said the same thing about Ishmael, that Ishmael went to, he was gathered on to his father. So all of these men, it seems as though at their death, they are going to the same place of rest.
My Bible says here.
Yes.
They joined his ancestors.
Where?
He didn't say where, just finish.
Okay.
He just joined his ancestors.
Okay. Well, so Isaac was buried the same place where Abraham and Sarah was buried. Also, Jacob was buried there. Leah was buried there, and I think Joseph was buried there. So he went to the same burial plot where these men were. But when we talk about Ishmael, the fourth son of Abraham, Ishmael, he did not get buried in that same place. And those same words was used in regards to Ishmael, that he was gathered to his father. So it had to be something else different to the place where they were being buried that the text is talking about. So that's what I'm saying. There's a possibility that he's talking about that final resting place, the home where they're going to live forever. I think he's speaking about here. Praise the Lord. Being old and full of days, and his son Esau and Jacob buried him. So here we see that, you remember that Esau, he pledged that at the death of his father, that he would have killed Jacob. And it seemed as though everything just disappeared. Esau's his heart was changed. That animosity that he had in his heart towards Jacob, the wickedness that Jacob did to him, he stole his birthright, and all of those things that Jacob did to Esau, he put it behind him. You remember when Jacob was going back to Padan Aram, and he sent a message to Esau that he was going back to Canaan, and he sent a message to Esau that he was coming into Canaan, and Esau took off with 400 men, and Jacob thought that Esau was coming to kill him. And Esau came, and when Esau saw Jacob, he got off his camel and he ran towards him and hugged him and kissed him. And Jacob was so surprised. He was expecting Esau was coming to kill him. But it seemed as though all of these wickedness and evil that Esau had in his heart towards his brother, he totally forgave him. It disappeared. God, performed a change within the life of Esau. So at the death of Isaac, the both of them was able to come together as brothers, and they put all of their differences aside. And here the Bible is saying that they came together, and let me read that again. And Isaac gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people, being old and full of days, and his son Esau and Jacob buried him. There was no fighting, there was no quarreling. They just do everything in peace. And that is how we need to operate when we have a funeral for our loved ones. Doesn't matter what is left behind. So many times you go to a funeral and you see right in the funeral people having all kind of argument, and sometimes it even turned into fight. And I think we have to do a lot with the way how parents conduct their business, conduct their affairs. They decide to disinherit one child or a few of them. And when you disinherit your children, it's going to cause war. When you're gone to your place of rest, and you leave them behind, and you disinherit some of them, they're going to have problems. And I think the best thing to do is that whatever inheritance you have, you should share it equally. And you share it equally amongst your kids. They are all your kids.
I don't believe so, Pastor.
Why not?
Because it's yours, whatever you want to do with it.
Yes, it's yours. It's yours. But at the same time, it is your children also. It is your children also. And what I'm saying is that if you decide that you're going to give one more than the other, or you're going to disinherit one child, it's going to cause problem. Even though it is your prerogative to do something like that. I don't think that is right. And I'm seeing so much family today. So much family today that after the death of their parents, they have so much of conflict going on. Fights. Some of them, they go to court and they have so much dispute over land and over house. And if the parents, take the initiative and use wisdom and, share it out equally, I don't think it's going to have any kind of breakup in the family after they're gone. Yes. Right.
Because sometimes the parents is really looking as human beings. Some of the children are not there for the parents, but the parents really need them. And you have a daughter or a son or a few that really stand with the parents, they have the food, they have everything that they would want, and maybe it cannot go like, equally, but
Well, yes,
you give the other lazy one some, but give the one that do the work and was there for the parents, most of it.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. What I'm saying, the way how some people will, disinherit one child or two of them, I don't think that's the right way. I understand, I fully agree with what you're saying. You have cases where, one child might take the responsibility to look after, the parent. You take the parent into your house and you're taking care of your parent. I could see that you can get a double portion. And because, I see my sister-in-law, she gave up her job in the United States and she went back to Grenada, and she was down there for about 10 years taking care of her mother. And, and I even suggested to the mother, saying in a case like this, because we were talking about that, saying in a case like this, you probably should give her a double portion. But she also sees it different. In a case like that, you have somebody who give up their livelihood and they come to take care of you. When you're ready to go, you should make sure that you make preparation and you give them something worthwhile. But you don't go and you disinherit one child. I don't think that is a good idea, because that is just going to cause more war. It's going to cause the family to split apart. When you're gone, those children are going to have no good relationship. Amen. I am not going to disinherit none of my kids. I have 3 boys. When my time comes to go, I go before my wife. When she's ready to go, whatever we have, we leave behind. Let it be divided between them. And, let life go on as peaceable as, they can. Praise the Lord. All right, so we move to chapter 36. Now, these are the generation of Esau, who is Edom. So here we move to chapter 36. And the Bible is telling us here that it's talking about the generation of Esau, the genealogy of Esau. And it tells us that Esau is Edom. And there's a lot of people in the black Hebrew Israelite community who is saying that Esau is the white man. Because of the fact that when Esau was born, Esau and Jacob, they were twins. And when Esau was born, Esau, the Bible said that he came out red. And the word Esau means red. His complexion was red. And I'm assuming that Jacob's complexion was dark. And he was a lot lighter than his brother Jacob. So because of that, they're saying that the white race of people came from Esau. But I don't believe that. I believe that Esau, his parents was people of color. It was black people. It was people of color, melanated people. And it is, just that when Esau was born, at his birth, his complexion was lighter than his brother Jacob. But Esau was not a white man. He was a person of color. And it tells us that Esau, he is what? Edom. And here we see, it tells us Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan. So if he was white, why is he going to Canaan? Anybody know who Canaan is? Who was Canaan? Are you following? Who was Canaan? Canaan is the grandson of Noah. And Canaan is the son of Ham. And Ham is the son of Noah. Ham is the son that the white racist people of the world, they said that Noah put a curse on Ham, and Ham's skin turned black. And the curse that Noah put on Ham is the curse of being black. So here, the white racist people of the world is telling us that Noah's son Ham was black. And now we are seeing that Ishmael, Esau here, as the Hebrew Israelite people are saying Esau is supposed to be a white man. But here what he's doing, he's going to marry to a person from the black race, from Canaan. Because Canaan is the son of Ham. And Ham means Egypt. When you look at the Bible and you look up Ham, you see take you to Egypt, you take you to Mizraim. The interpretation is born face, people with black skin. So if Esau was white, why is he going to Ham or Canaan, the line of Canaan, to get his wife? And all of the wives that Esau is going to marry to, they are all Hamites. They are all from the line of Ham. The first one here that he married to, the daughter of Canaan, he said Ada, the daughter of Eliam, the Hittite. Hittites is Hamites. And Hittites, they all came from, you know, all those races of people. You have the Hittites, the Canaanites, and all of the different ites that we have in the Bible. All of these people is what we call Hamites. And it said a holy woman, if I pronounce that right, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zebulun, the Havite. Havite also, that's another Hamite. That is also from the line of Ham. So Esau, he's getting married to all of these women that he's marrying here to. They are all from the line of Ham. And in verse 3, and Bishma, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nabijah. So here we see that Esau took another wife. This is, I guess, this is the third one that we're looking at here. But it is believed that overall, Esau probably married to 6 women. He had about 6 wives. And it seems as though all of the wives that he married to, they were all Hamites. And this one that he had here, Bishma, is Ishmael's daughter. And anybody remember who Ishmael was? Ishmael, he was the son of, what's his mother's name again?
Sarah.
Pardon?
Sarah.
Not Sarah, Hagar. Yes, Hagar. And Hagar was the Egyptian. Hagar was the Egyptian woman. So here we see that Ishmael, he was half Egyptian and half Hebrew Israelite. So Egyptians are what? Black people. I have a lot of different historical books at home, and I'm looking at the way that Egyptians paint themselves, the way how they portray themselves. Egyptians paint themselves as black people. They were all black people. And you know, in a lot of different movies, you'll see that Hollywood will put Egyptians as white people. You know, when they act in the Ten Commandments, they act in Cleopatra and all of these different movies, they put Egyptians as white people, but Egyptians are black people. Today, when you look in Egypt, you'll see have lighter complexion people over in Egypt. And somebody might ask the question, how come you have lighter complexion people over there? It's because of different invasion. You know, and I was looking at some of the historical books that I have at home, trying to find out when European force moved into Canaan. And I think that the first Europeans that moved into Canaan, it was Alexander the Great. And when you look up in Daniel chapter 7, you will see when Daniel was in Babylon and Daniel had a dream, and Daniel saw a dream in which there was 4 different beasts that came up from the sea. And the third beast that came up from the sea, it was a leopard. And Bible interpreters believe that that leopard represents the Greeks, the Macedonian Greek Empire that came in under Alexander, and they invaded Canaan, came into Egypt and all of those places. And according to what I'm seeing by looking at historical record, the first group of Europeans that came into Canaan, it was when Alexander really came in and invaded that part of the world. But before that, there is no evidence. There is no evidence. I haven't seen any evidence. I don't know if anybody ever do any study on that. I haven't seen any evidence where there was European people living in Canaan land. All of the people who were living over there, they were all the same complexion. All of the Canaanites were the same complexion, and they were the same complexion like the Hebrew Israelite people. Yes, Brother Lewis, go ahead.
I was in some studies a while ago. There was a set of people in 1900 BC which you call Europeans. Europeans is a mixed race that came to Iraq.
Okay.
And Nebuchadnezzar is the one that invaded Egypt.
Right.
So most of the people that they know is Europeans that mix a mixed race that come into Iraq.
Right.
And they overthrew because at that time the Abyssinians was ruling at the time. So they kind of mix up players, they kind of they so-called the black-faced people.
Right.
And they push them out. So the people that are right now in Egypt, they're Arabs.
Right, but I think they mix up with the Greeks.
Yes.
Because, we don't talk to you get back. Nebuchadnezzar, he was not a European.
I was talking about the Europeans as a
Right.
So they are the one that when because when they come out, they start mixing with the original people in Iraq, they come back, the complexion makes a change. And
But the European people who are
Europeans, they are mixed race people.
Okay.
So like Spanish
Right.
and other race mixed together. And they came in 1900 BC.
Right.
And they fought them out, and then they come to Egypt. So they were thrown them, and they pushed them back to the Nubians.
Right.
Pushed them back to Nubia.
Right.
So these people then go back. So they stay up to today. The people that are right now, the Europeans, they up in Egypt up to today.
But what I'm seeing, that is long after Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is long after their time. So that probably happened after, okay. But during the time when Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all of the Hebrew Israelite people was existing, those people from Europe, they wasn't over there at that time. And when you look at the Israelite people today, the Jewish people today, they are Europeans. And one have to ask the question, when did they set up in the land of Israel? When did they establish themselves over there? That's a recent thing. The Jewish people, the Jewish race of people over in Israel, they were not there from way back in Abraham's time. They wasn't there. Amen. It's a switch. It's one of the biggest injustices that ever portrayed on people in the world today is the switch that took place when European Ashkenazi Jewish people replaced the people who was originally from that part of the world. And even when you look at the Palestinian people, they were there from way back. Palestinian people, they came from what we call the Philistine. And the Philistine people, I got to do some more studies on it, but I think they also came out from the line of Ham. So they were there from the beginning. And who have control of the land today? Is the people from outside, the people who just set up their camp. They came over there, most of them came over after 1948. Before 1948, there was not a whole lot of, Jewish Ashkenazi people over in that part of the world. And we have to understand, when you do some history, you will see that they offer the Ashkenazi Jewish people, they give them preference to go and make their settlement in Australia. They were supposed to go and set up their settlement in Australia. They did not like Australia, so they didn't go. They were supposed to go in Uganda. They were supposed to go in Uganda, the British, because the British Empire was controlling all of these places. And they offered them to go and set up a settlement in Uganda. And they didn't take that offer to set up a settlement in Uganda. And they offered them to set up a settlement here in Canada. They were supposed to set up a settlement here in Canada. And they didn't take that offer to set up in Canada. And it was during the war, 1914, when they have, the war was going on. And then they have the Balfour Declaration, and the Jewish people, with all of their influence, over these different governments, because at that time you have the Rothschild family that owned more than, half of the world's wealth. They were able to make a deal with Great Britain and those different people who was in the war and get them to allow them to take up settlement in the land of Israel. But these people was never there from before. They are not original. Amen. Praise the Lord. We have to close here for today. All right. Anybody have any question that you'd like to ask before we close, or comment that you'd like to make before we wrap things up today?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
A lot of people get kind of puzzled when they hear the word Ashkenazi.
Yes.
So when you hear the word Ashkenazi, what is something like? German Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
The Nazi, they call it Nazi. Ashkenazi, German Nazi. So
Right.
that is the same German people. We should call it Ashkenazi.
Yes, well, most of them, they came from Germany and France, okay? Those are over there presently. But originally, they are from a Turkish stock. They really originally they came from somewhere up close to the Caucasus Mountain, up close to Russia, up there. And then they I guess they set up in Turkey, because it is in Turkey that these people really was converted to the Jewish religion. Their king was King Bolan. King Bolan, he was in Turkey, and according to what historical record is telling us, this man was looking for religion for his people, and he called in the Muslim people from the Muslim faith, he called in people from the Christian faith, and he called in people from the Jewish faith. And he didn't like what he heard from the Muslim, didn't like what he heard from the Christian, and what the Jewish rabbi said to him, he liked what he heard. And because of that, his whole nation, because he's a king, his whole nation was converted to the Jewish religion in about the 7th or the 8th century, somewhere around there. But before, these people, they are not really original. They are converts. They are converts to the Jewish faith. You finished, brother, what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay, praise the Lord. Amen. If somebody would mind just ask God's blessing as we close up for today.
Merciful and eternal Heavenly Father, thank you so much that we can come into you, Lord, and study your word in the name of Jesus, because it says, study to show yourself approved. Father, we thank you for the pastor that expound the word, teach the word, and exhort. We pray, Heavenly Father, that take every word into our hearts and we will win souls for your kingdom. That continue to bless us and satisfy us as we move to another section of this service. In Jesus' name I pray thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Praise the Lord. Brother Coke, will you just turn that off?